GamerCast Network.
Hey. All right. It's a video game show. It's a video game show. It's not a game show about videos. It's a video game show.
Welcome to the GamerCast Network Video Game Show, episode number 85 for Sunday, April 13th, 2008. I'm Chad, and this week for the roll call, when I say your name, because last week we had Ross Erickson on, and Sierra Online is known for its adventure games, tell me your favorite adventure game of all time. Is that okay with you, Ivan?
As long as you don't start with me.
I won't start with you. And joining us this evening is... I'm not. Tom.
I'm still going to say the original King's Quest, because some of those things are still burnt into my mind. Like, you had to be able to spell Rumpelstiltskin backwards. And I just remember even where all like the stuff was hidden. Left an impression on me.
Okay, and also joining us this evening is... Keith.
I'm going to have to say Missing Since January. It's a computer game, very, very fun. It's supposed to be where two reporters go missing or something, and you get a disc from their killer, their kidnapper, whatever he is, and you have to figure out all the clues, and you set up an email account, and they send you emails. And
that one came out very recently.
A couple of years ago. Oh, so much fun. Like one of the best games I've ever played.
Also joining us this evening is Ivan. You're going to say Zork, aren't you?
Actually, I was going to say adventure, first of all.
That's kind of action.
Well, it's an adventure game. It's built right into the title.
You can't get more adventure-like than adventure.
But yeah, actually, that was a good one. Probably not my favorite. My favorite probably is something like Zork. I played Zork many times. When I remember playing with my brother and me being the little brother, not getting to actually play, it was my job to map out the rooms as we went on graph paper.
Well, Tom said kind of my answer, because I was going to say Police Quest. We don't like saying the same things around here, so I'll have to go with one of my other answers, which is Secret of Monkey Island.
Duel like telling jokes.
But there we go. Adventure games all around. Except for Adventure, which is...
Action. Except for Adventure, which should have just been called Action.
This week on the GamerCast Network. Don't miss the latest episode, number 141, where Gamertag Radio has an exclusive interview with Monolith Productions about their upcoming game, Project Origin. Plus, find out why Gamertag Radio will win the battle of the podcast for Sarcastic Gamer on Call of Duty 4. This week on Uncle Gamer, Jay and Paris talk about the successful boycott of Bad Company's Bad Idea and the departure of Dan Shu from Ziff Davis. Boost your gamer score with the latest tips from Achievement Junkie. Tune into Podtacular for the biggest stories in the unofficial Halo universe. On Sarcastic Gamer, the Battlefield boycott is over, and Justin McElroy from Joystick stops by to help Doc Dave and Lano celebrate. Discover the website that brings you all these great episodes and headlines at GamerCastNetwork.com.
Next topic.
Okay, so first up, let's finish off our interview from last week with Sierra Online's Vice President of Content Acquisition, Ross Erickson. You can find the first half of the interview in episode 84.
Can I ask a question that probably won't even make it onto the show? It's just... The thing is, I don't understand Vivendi. Like, I even read the Wikipedia page, and it's nonsense to me.
That's because someone went in there and made it type in gibberish, because it's Wikipedia, and it's not real.
Exactly. But it's this conglomerate. It looks like it's in all these businesses, and I don't understand Sierra's relationship.
I think I can clear it up, actually. So Vivendi Corporation is, in fact, a very old corporation. It's a French company traded on the French stock market. Don't quote me on this, but it might even have ties all the way back to the Napoleonic era. Vivendi now has divested itself of many things and is a bit more of a media company. Vivendi Corp owns Vivendi Games. Vivendi Games comprised of 4 divisions. There's Blizzard, there's Sierra Entertainment, Sierra Online, and Vivendi Mobile, which is mostly a cell phone gaming effort, and it's primarily focused in Europe. So,
don't you guys have a lot of overlap? Wouldn't Sierra Online and Vivendi Mobile kind of serve the same?
Not really, no, because we're not really trying to play in the cell phone, the carrier network business, and they're not playing at all in the XBLA sandbox. It's not really much overlap there at all. I think some confusion has been like, well, what's this relationship with NBC and with Universal Music and so forth? But a lot of that has been divested.
Does that satisfy your curiosity, Tom?
Well, it makes more sense when he says it than when I read it on the Wikipedia.
Next topic.
You guys looking at any more board games or those kind of Carcassonne-style games for XBLA or PSN?
Yeah, I mean, we've actually found better success even than we anticipated with Carcassonne. I think one of the things that stimulated this was we realized early on this is a very multiplayer-centric game, so we took advantage of an opportunity with Microsoft when they did their Xbox Live as 5 promotion, where we just frankly gave it away for 2 days. We just got more exposure to this really good game and got people playing it. So we've been continuing to look. When I think of board games, this is even back to my Microsoft days, I kept thinking of Risk, Monopoly, and Scrabble, and that was about it. And then I got exposed to much more of the European strategy board games, starting with Settlers of Catan. There is some inherent risk to this, of course, because many of these games, even including Catan and Carcassonne, are not at all known by the North American market. We've actually announced another game that's coming very shortly, in fact, to Live Arcade called Lost Cities. It's more of a card game than a true detailed board game. It's an award-winning game. And beyond Lost Cities, I'm always looking at other games from the genre. There's a big trade show that happens every year over in Germany at a city called Essen, and it's kind of the E3 of board games. Probably 2 or 3 times.
That sounds like that would be cool to go see.
Oh, it is. It's amazing. It's like 3 times the size of E3 when it was in its heyday, so it's just huge. And it's also open to the public. Full families will come and they have tables set up. There's tens of thousands of people playing, everything from Catan to Carcassonne and everything under the sun. Of course, all new, brand new board games are announced and are shown at the show. So that's a really great kind of farming opportunity for us to kind of look at those games of which ones would make the best translation to
Does it smell? Because
format.
I've been to these kind of things in America with like Magic the Gathering and board games, and they just
does it have that convention stench to it?
To be honest and fair to that, no, they don't. I know exactly what you're talking about because the Gen Cons and Origins of the world, I've never actually been to those, but the stories I've heard are like, you can get a little rank maybe. This is a very family-centered kind of event. It's not a geeky kind of event at all.
They still do these?
Oh yeah, it's been going on for 20-something years now.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm just thinking because obviously board games used to be a lot bigger in America until, video games kind of took over. I can't think of the last cool American board game that came out.
I think the American toy companies like the Hasbros and Mattels, they still have their long-standing franchises like Monopoly and Parker Brothers kind of games and so forth. But, in terms of really that breakout new game in the board game space, honestly, I can't obviously say I know what that would be either.
And most of the games you see now are the cheap plastic games marketed towards kids.
Next topic.
So the other thing I guess maybe I can tell you about is we have announced some other XBLA games. First of all, we've published 8 games on XBLA so far. I don't know if that's widely known, but we are one of the...
Arcadian Warriors is sweet.
We're proud of that game, though I think we see room for taking that franchise and going deeper with it.
That would be cool to see.
The other 2 that we're very proud of recently are Switchball and Commanders.
Commanders is a sweet game, too. Brian and I playing that one. Switchball I haven't played.
Check out the trial on Switchball. Graphically, we think that game's stunning. It's a really cool puzzle mechanic of figuring your way through this kind of environmental challenge where you have to change the physical properties of this ball you're rolling around, whether it's a big, heavy steel ball or something light.
I've played the demo for that one. It's an interesting game.
You have to kind of get into sort of the cerebral challenge of like, what am I faced with here? And it's not an easy game just from the standpoint of what you're doing with your thumbs either. It's a be careful kind of game. With Lost Cities, we've also announced 2 other games that are coming shortly that are making their way in the next month or 2 out on XBLA, and that's Assault Heroes 2.
The original is badass.
We think that the sequel has just got a bigger badass.
It's got a bigger ass.
Amped it up a lot more. I mean, there's just a lot more of the same thing in terms of gameplay, but just injecting more adrenaline into this. Some really cool co-op modes and multiplayer in it as well, so check that one out. And we've also got another kind of space combat shooter called Aces of the Galaxy coming out shortly. The best way I can describe this game, imagine, Star Fox from the N64 days meets Warhawk from the PS1. Semi-freeform, semi-on-rail shooter, but in this case you're kind of weaving your way through amazing space vistas, blowing crap up. It's just a pure space adrenaline rush.
Next topic.
So all of these are XBLA titles. You mentioned before you were targeting some of the PlayStation stuff. Are any of these coming out for the PlayStation Network, or is there anything in development?
I think everyone has acknowledged they got to a little bit of a slow start by comparison. And just overall, the whole mechanic of what to make on the PS3 was a bit of an unknown. But we've gotten behind it big time. I can't talk specifically about the names of each title. We have 4 titles in production for PS3 right now. Some of them are franchises you have seen XBLA so far. In every case, we're trying to make improvements and changes and make it a unique experience on the PS3. And we're firmly committed to the PS3 for 08 and beyond. I even expect the time will come, probably sooner than later, where we'll see lead SKUs come out on the PS3 first to maybe be followed up on the XBLA secondly or on the PC as well.
Is there ever any thought being put to like moving the Carcassones and those kind of board games, the ones that have already come out on the XBLA, or are those going to remain exclusive to XBLA?
We don't have any particular exclusivity arrangement with Microsoft at all. There's a natural period of exclusivity that comes out when we work on a title serially, simply because, we get one finished before we can start working on a similar version on another platform.
Okay, so you guys just haven't seen the opportunity for bringing something like a Carcassonne over.
The challenge there is the business of when does it make sense, just in terms of the install base and the kind of user that's going to play a certain kind of game on a PS3. How is the audience different, for example? Certainly because of the price point alone of the PS3 in its early days commanded much more of a hardcore gamer. XBLA is a bit more mainstream, both in the type of content you can get onto it as well as price and install base and everything else. PS3 is getting a lot more on parity in that regard now. The other complication of doing that is just simply the resource juggling. The guys that made Carcassonne on XBLA, for example, they're not sitting around twiddling their thumbs doing nothing, waiting for us to make the decision for them to do Carcassonne on PS3, theoretically. If we get to that point, and I'm not saying we have yet, but if we get to that point where that would make sense, we have to weigh that against, well, what are these guys doing now? There's clearly just a scheduling. We don't have infinite resources to just throw something on the wall and have it magically start getting developed if that team's already working on something else.
Next topic.
You mentioned the Wii and the WiiWare platform, and that's really been a whole nebulous thing. I mean, some details are coming out now when it launches next month. What are your intents for that platform? Have you guys started any projects on that?
Well, we haven't announced anything, and I don't have anything specific to talk about yet because the Wii is, as you know, a very unique platform in a number of ways, one being just the user interface with the motion controls. The things that seem to have been successful on the Wii are all very much focused in design around that. The second being it's a very different architecture, graphically speaking, and just the horsepower under the hood is significantly lower than what you get on a PS3 or an Xbox 360. The other challenge that we're looking at on the Wii is a storage issue. You have to deal with a different storage mechanic and how big your game can be, and that's mandated by Nintendo. There are some other learnings that we're still waiting to kind of come out on this as to just how does the business model work. We currently are actively looking for concepts, and I have a few that I'm sort of floating around right now, just kind of getting feedback on, but nothing is in production at the moment. We're interested in supporting the platform, but it just needs to be with the right game. And that's complicated by the fact that most of the time our projects are designed from scratch to be multi-platform. And in the case for WiiWare, that makes it really challenging because how do I take a really good game for WiiWare and take it somewhere else? And one area that I suppose it's a bit of a concern. On the Wii, there's no trial of any game. You don't get to go onto the store and, like XBLA, download a trial and see if it floats your boat first to see if you like it before you decide you want to buy it. So we're still wrestling through it. I'm optimistic they're going to figure these things out and there's going to be a vibrant business there. It's just we're not likely to be one of the first to jump in the pool on this one.
Would you be interested in the concept of a whooping llama that protects children from pictures of boobies and guns in video games?
Next topic.
What's going to happen to the Sierra name? Because when they announced it's going to be Activision Blizzard, and honestly, I have more fond memories of Sierra titles than I do Activision titles.
I honestly don't know the answer to that yet. I don't think anybody does on our side. I think this relates to Sierra Entertainment. It's been sort of that embodiment at retail of Sierra's brand. And online, same thing is true. I just don't know the answer to that yet, and I don't think an answer is even known or agreed upon anywhere yet. Certainly it's not lost that the new company is called Activision Blizzard. It's not called Activision Sierra Blizzard or any combination.
Well, that's just crazy talk. That's way too many syllables.
What will happen with Sierra brand? No idea. In a merged world, you kind of begin to adopt the identity of the new company.
And that concludes our interview with Ross Erickson. Ham sandwich to you, good sir, and thanks for joining us.
Next topic.
Do you think Warcraft has peaked? Because there was a statement from a THQ exec, Jack Sorensen. He was saying that it's not going to get any bigger.
I don't feel that to be true. I see it continuing to climb. Why not?
Do you think there's going to be more people playing when Wrath of the Lich King comes out?
Yes. In fact, I think that you'll have many people resubscribe. The ones who played it and then you know what? I'm done for now. When Wrath of the Lich King comes out, they'll probably pick it up and reinstall it and give it a whirl just to see what it's all about.
Is this the expansion that's going to have the siege mechanics in it?
It's supposed to, yes.
That's going to be cool. Are you going to be able to construct castles?
You know what? Your guess is as good as mine. They really haven't gone in any details about that. And it's Blizzard, so no one will know until 2010.
Now, hang on now. This last week, the expansion did enter closed alpha testing. There's no official word from Blizzard. Some sites were told by players they got into the alpha. Of course, they couldn't say more than that since they're under an NDA.
Or Ross Erickson will visit you and put a bullet in the back of your head.
So that's going to be Sierra's new role in the company, huh?
Blizzard Assassin? They're the Vivendi, that's what it's called. That does sound like some kind of sect of assassins. Better watch out or the Vivendi will come get you. But yeah, I can see it getting more people playing. It is the best MMO out there right now.
Okay, here's a question. Do you think it's a casual MMO?
If Warcraft's a casual MMO, then what's Second Life?
It's not a game.
Oh, okay. It drops off the scale of the game.
You can go either or. If you want to be hardcore, that's when you go raiding and do the 40-man group things and all that crap.
Do PvP stuff.
I mean, you can hop on, do a quest, do 2 quests, whatever, and be done with it.
You can go to your favorite lake and fish all day.
Can that be done in like 20-minute blocks?
You could play for 20 minutes. You could hop on, make a bunch of leather, armor and stuff, fish for a little while, and then log out.
Okay, here's one last question. Are all MMOs casual MMOs, or are there MMOs that really aren't? Is it really that Warcraft is built so well that it's a casual and hardcore MMO at the same time?
Yes. I distinctly remember EverQuest was not casual in any way, shape, or form. You had to be willing to invest a large block of time.
So coming up here, we have the Conan and Warhammer MMOs, which are targeting more of the player versus player stuff. That seems to be targeting more of the hardcore MMO players.
And that's why I think their downfall is because they're not even attempting to appeal to a casual gamer. A lot of the hardcore gamers in Warcraft are so far in already, I guess you could say. They're not going to just throw the towel in to go to a new game. I mean, if you've been playing for 2 years, are you just going to throw your thing aside for a new MMO that is essentially the exact same thing?
Next topic.
Okay, so a big thing in comic books and sports card collecting is grading services.
Huge ripoff, something that has destroyed collecting.
Now, you can get to that in a moment, but what happens here is you send off one of your items, a comic book or card, to get graded by this service. And you get back your card or comic book in this plastic case, which has a number on it. And that number is what they graded your item as. And then you can either keep that or turn around and sell it on eBay for lots of money if you can get it. So now a company called Video Game Authority is doing this service for games. These have been showing up on eBay right now. So one person had the original Final Fantasy from 1990. They sent that off to this company, paid them $25. This service cost $25 a game.
Most games are going to be worth more than $25.
Well, hang on now. Let me tell you about this Final Fantasy guy, though. So he had Final Fantasy graded, and he sold it on eBay. And if the actual deal goes through, he sold it for $500.
Who the hell would pay $500 for Final Fantasy?
No, this is a passing fad. It's like when something new comes out and the price is spiked really high because people say, oh, well, it's graded and it's Gem Mint 10, so let me spend $500. But all those people who are willing to do that are going to buy them in the first wave, and then all these other people are going to send their Final Fantasies in to get graded, and they're not going to be able to get that kind of cash.
Dude, right here, Final Fantasy, like new, complete map, box, manual, NES, Nintendo Mint, $61.
But is it graded?
It's in perfect condition, so somebody,
That's not the question.
some jackhole
answer the question.
Some jackhole didn't put a sticker on it that said Mint.
So no,
that's worth $440?
To some people, it may be.
Well, some people are dumb.
I agree.
One other issue with this is that when you get your game back, it's in a plastic case. You can't open it up.
You can, then you've ruined the reason why you've done it in the first place.
Correct. Once you open it up, it's no longer worth that score.
Right. Then you'd have to send it back to be re-scored.
I'm just pissed I didn't think of this first. This is a good racket.
Dude, this is a good racket. I mean, seriously. We're not geniuses, but we're not idiots. We should have came up with something like this.
Honestly, someone sends you a game, you look at it, and you're like, 7. I mean, it's so subjective. It's like, oh, there's a scratch. That's a 5.
That's the issue with the comic book and baseball card ones is who's determining these grades. I don't know what makes the Video Game Authority here an actual authority, apart from just them calling themselves an authority.
Dude, what can we be an authority on?
Does it have to be video game related?
No, it doesn't. Just what can we be an authority on to make money?
I don't know. I can rate your lawn.
Well, there you go. We'll have a lawn rating service.
We'll rate your lawn. Except, unfortunately, I'll have to seal it in plastic.
And you're never allowed to walk on it or mow it again.
Send us your cold cut sandwiches. We will determine their value.
Next topic.
18-year-old out of Michigan Last November, he stabbed and beheaded a 26-year-old. The 18-year-old's name is Jean-Pierre. The lawyer claims Jean-Pierre was under the influences of Eidos's Hitman. In an early part of the case, a witness said that Jean-Pierre said, "I want to commit a crime and not get caught and be able to get away with it." So when the defense heard that claim, I guess they said that Jean-Pierre used to watch the game Hitman. They actually used the word watch. They didn't actually say play.
That would imply that he had
An accomplice.
Yeah.
In Hitman, you can kill someone without them realizing it. You can sneak up behind them and kill them. So you're able to kill someone and not get caught and get away with it. That was the logic they used. I don't understand how they used that logic.
Well, yeah, maybe the person you snuck up behind and slit their throat didn't know that, but I mean, someone else is going to know.
I think it just goes to say that Europe has their own versions of Jack Thompsons.
No, Tom.
What?
His name is Jean-Pierre, but this is out of Michigan.
Oh. Why do we have someone named Jean-Pierre in this country to begin with? You come to this country, you call yourself Joe or John.
What about John Pierre?
John Peter. Yeah, my name's John Peter. What's up?
I like how he became a hillbilly person.
Well, you gotta be if you're from America. I'm from America. My name's John Peter. I'll kick your ass.
I want to know when they're just going to start throwing these cases out.
Here's the thing. In one of the talkbacks for this article, someone in the area had said that they were following this case, actually. And they did this very late in the case, went with the Hitman defense.
In other words, it was a, we're
Is that like the Chewbacca defense?
Apparently, the guy himself, Jean-Pierre, is pretty messed up. I guess beforehand he was playing Russian roulette. When he killed the guy, he tried to burn his fingertips off so they couldn't identify the body. And I guess apparently at first, the defense was alluding to this guy's love of death metal.
Okay, so basically the defense lawyer is trying to blame this on absolutely everything they possibly can except for Mr. Jean-Pierre.
It's music.
Okay.
We're not buying it. It's video games. We're not buying it. He was possessed by the devil. We're not buying it. He's French.
French?
Well, I wouldn't buy that either because he wouldn't kill anyone. They'd run away from him. I honestly want to know when they're going to just start disallowing these defenses.
When something new comes along that everyone can blame.
We need virtual reality, and then everyone can blame that.
Yeah, but once we have that, though, then there's not going to be any crime because everyone's going to be able to have their own perfect world with their own big...
Nice adjective.
Thank you.
Nice adjective that probably will be bleeped. So, kids, fill your own answers in there for what he said.
I bet you their answer is probably worse than what was really said. Dude, kids out there are freaking crazy now. Third graders plotted to kill the teacher, and then they had another one where all these girls just beat the holy hell out of this one girl.
Oh, yeah. It is
And
going
they're
around.
like 13! Maybe we just need to kill one every now and then just to put some fear into them. Like, what the hell is that movie, Chad? You would know it.
Which one? Oh, Battle Royale.
Battle Royale, where they send the kids off to an island and kill each other just to keep them in check.
So all you kids listening to this show, straighten the out.
Shape up.
We sound like such bitter old men.
In my day.
All their shenanigans that people are going to blame games on, then all of a sudden, us normal 30-year-olds won't be able to play games.
I don't know when that's going to happen, but hopefully they don't take away our stuff. But who knows? If it's for the children, anything's possible.
Dude, if they can't take away our porn, they'll never be able to take away our games.
They may take our porn, but they'll never take our video games. It's a good point, though. If they can't get rid of porn, I think video games are pretty safe, huh?
Next topic.
Joining us late in the game is Phil. Phil, what is your favorite adventure game?
I've got one. Oregon Trail. First
You die from
memorable-
dysentery?
Exactly. And to this day, I still don't know what the hell dysentery is.
You basically yourself to death.
Awesome. I could probably accomplish that.
Dude, it's not.
It's not what you would call fun.
No.
Like on the low end of ways I'd want to die is dysentery.
There's much happier ways to die. Not death is happy, but nicer ways to end.
Unless you're really into Cleveland Steamers.
Inappropriate, Tom. Hey!
Hey!
Next topic.
So, Keith, here, you played Rocketman Axis of Evil on the XBLA. What do you think of it?
I actually kind of liked it. Amongst our group, Crimson Land was a popular little game that we all downloaded from Reflexive. This game is Crimson Land, except you're running through a board instead of just being in a one-screen map. You look from the top down, you move around with the left analog, you shoot Geometry Wars style, aiming the right analog where you want to shoot. then you have different weapons and power-ups and that kind of thing. It goes through a little story, and you're the Rocketman, and you go and you're trying to defeat Martians and save the Empress and that kind of thing. And you could level stuff up. So you had stats to increase, you increased the weapons, the rate of fire, the damage, the spread. So the first thing I did was max out my shotgun, that kind of deal. The dialogue in it is corny, but it's supposed to be corny. The artwork was where it kind of lost it. To me, that was the weak point of it, was the artwork and the cutscenes in that. Now, the replay value, I don't know how long you could continuously play it, because there was 10 boards. The couple hours that I put into it, I've gone through and beaten it. I didn't die very often. I think I only died once, and that was before I realized I was even really taking damage. But I now see that I can change the difficulty. I have to give it another whirl on a harder difficulty, but I would say that, yeah, it is worth the 800 points if that kind of gameplay is up your alley. I would recommend downloading the demo and giving it a whirl. Now, some people may say, well, I already have Geometry Wars, and if you already have those games and those games satisfy that type of gameplay, you may not enjoy Rocketman, but I thought it was a fun game. I enjoyed it.
I know there was not a lot of love for that game when it came out. It got very mediocre reviews.
I could see that.
Unfortunately, there's been a lot of grief thrown at XBLA because there's countless left stick, right stick, spin around in circle, shoot kind of things. On a different subject, same topic, I've been playing N+. That's actually a pretty fun game. That one is definitely worth the price. It's got something like 100 different levels and multiplayer and a level editor.
The only thing is N Plus started out as N, which is a free PC game you can go get.
Yeah, the graphics are about nil. It's all geometric shapes, and your guy is just kind of a little stick figure.
He looks like a high-end Atari character.
For those who played Flash games, N started out as a Flash game on a website.
This game definitely feels like a Flash game on the 360, but that doesn't mean it's not good. Yeah, I took a break from WoW, played a bunch of Xbox Live games, and didn't really care for a lot of them. Triggerheart Excelica made me want to vomit. That's a Japanese shoot 'em up.
Did you try Ikaraga?
I tried that. It was okay. I played Poker Smash, which was all right, but I mean, the 10 minutes that I played it was probably good for me.
Okay. I like Poker Smash.
Oh, do you?
For those who haven't seen it, Poker Smash is a game like Bejeweled, except here to clear the tiles, you have to arrange the tiles in poker hands. And I really like the dynamic of trying to frantically figure out the best poker hands possible.
That's true. And the last one I tried was Res HD.
I don't understand that game at all.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as Space Giraffe, but it has vector graphic type stuff and all kinds of funky, whacked out colors. And the gameplay wasn't as awful as Space Giraffe, but the feeling was almost as bad.
I know there's a lot of love for that game. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
It's an on-rail shooter where it's set to music and the goal is to get a perfect score to get the special ending.
Whatever.
I know for the PlayStation 2, they released it with a special vibrator controller.
Oh, yeah, that's the one that came with the vibrator.
Yes, for the ladies out there in the world.
Oh.
Next topic.
Mailbag.
Mailbag.
Okay, so last week we had Merrick write in saying that he was writing an article and looking for cold hard facts that video games weren't the cause of all violence in the world. So this week, Merrick wrote back. Hi, this is Merrick again. I just want to say thanks. You may not know it, but you were a big help. But I would like one more favor. My editor has said I need a few quotes to give the article some kind of voice. I need it from both sides of the issue. I have one side, why games are to blame. Now I just need a few words on why they aren't to blame. It doesn't have to be fact, just your ideas and thoughts.
Very simply because an inanimate object can't make you do anything. It's a game. It can't make you do anything. And if video games can make you go nuts and kill people, then so can movies, so can music, so can the news, so can just walking outside and looking around. It's called a game. It's a video game. It's not real. I mean, the people that go out and do these crazy crimes, and they're just not right to begin with. That's the only thing I can say is these people aren't right. They'd be out doing stupid things if there were video games or no video games. We go back, 15 years, and music was the root of all evil. Role-playing is the root of all evil. Everything's the root of all evil. So until the next big thing comes along, I guess video games are going to be the whipping boy.
And that was Video Game Show episode number 85 for Sunday, April 13th, 2008. Any ham sandwiches or Shattered Dream Pies to the world, give them now.
Shattered Dream Pie to Bob.
No, we can't give them to each other.
We can give Shattered Dream Pies.
It's his birthday. He gets a Shattered Dream Pie.
I actually had him and my dad mixed up. I called my dad and wished my dad a happy birthday on Friday, and he was like, "What the are you talking about?" I was like, "It's your birthday. It's the 11th." He goes, "My birthday's the 21st." So then I looked at my thing, and I had Bob on the 21st and my dad on the 11th. It's like, oh, whoops.
Shattered Dream Pie to Gigabyte and their motherboards. Curses to you.
The one that failed you was a Gigabyte motherboard?
Yes.
I've had 2 or 3 of those fail.
Awesome.
Oh, ham sandwich to Sarcastic Gamer and their successful boycott.
And as always, send your comments, questions, queries, or concerns to the mailbag at mailbag@videogameshow.org, Skype us at videogameshow, or call us at 320-300-GAME. That is a standard long-distance call, and all normal fees apply. And that's a wrap. Good night.
The closest thing you got to that was, what was that, Universal Soldier with Van Damme and Lundgren?
Lundgren, yeah. Which is a fine film. Fine film.
That was actually, yeah, that was a good film.
There was that green stuff that they had to take. Am I thinking of the right film?
You're just in your own little land today, aren't you, Tom?
Yeah, no, Universal Soldier. And there was some green goo that made him keep coming back alive.
Not so much.
I only remember that film because I think the night it came out, the friend of mine who was driving, we had gotten a flat tire in like Geneva, Ohio, or Madison, Ohio, and then the cops came and they helped us fix the tire.
And that has what to do with Universal Soldier?
Dude,
But that was the movie that we saw.
where the are you today? You got like bag of random things that you just pull a piece of paper out of?